right, so now I'm back to introduce our main performer, Miss V. Miss V comes to us all the way from Wyoming. She lives on a modern homestead that actually started as a homesteading claim in Wyoming. And so her performance is going to help us remember some of the musical traditions and legacy of homesteading, but also this idea of community, because she's going to create a band with you. And that was something that was extremely important to homesteaders. They often used the school as a place of community because those homesteads were so isolated. Ms. V will help demonstrate the significance and the legacy of homesteading and community. So without further ado, I invite Miss V. Also, I want to thank the Hevlon Foundation and the Friends of Homestead for making this possible.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me out there? Is that good? Okay, we're trying out a bunch of new sound stuff here, so bear with me on this. I always say it's hard living 15 years without electricity, and then I try to deal with all this stuff. It's not a good mix. So this whole thing is new, and thank you for bearing with me. But I want to try to take a couple of the topics that Amber was talking about and build on them a little bit. And as she mentioned, we're going to, this is definitely like an audience participation session. So I want to get you all up here before long, but I just want to open up with a few concepts. And as Amber said, I spent about 15 years living on an old homestead ranch up in the Green River Valley of northwest Wyoming. And that place was founded in the 1930s. And it was just a really wonderful chapter in my life. And I got to learn a lot about how the homesteaders lived. Those people, Snook and Evelyn Moore, lived their whole lives without any plumbing or electricity. And when I got there in 1995, we were still doing all the work with teams of horses. And so really, I learned a great deal, and I think a lot of those lessons have followed me through life. And I just want to see if any of you have ideas of what it would take to be a homesteader. Like what kind of person, what would you have to do to be able to live out on the open prairie without any stores or any cars? Because anybody have any ideas on things that you'd have to do if you were a homesteader? No ideas whatsoever. Okay, well let me help you out with that. I think one of the most important things I learned was how to be creative and how to come up with solutions to problems. Because like right now, if there's a problem at your home, you usually call somebody to fix it. If there's a broken faucet or a bad wire, you usually call somebody to fix it. But the homesteaders didn't have people to call. They had to figure out how to fix things themselves. And the other thing that homesteaders had to do was learn how to entertain themselves. There was no radio, no television, no clubs to go see music or anything. So when I was out on that old homestead, we learned to entertain ourselves, and that was sort of the beginning of a lot of my program here. And I'll just introduce for you one little thing. Does anybody recognize this? Anybody know what this is? Close. I get that a lot. It looks a lot like a ukulele, but it's actually a little different. Any other? What's that? A banjo, exactly. Yeah, so this is my homemade banjo, and I was wanting to build an instrument that was real lightweight that I could travel around with, and somebody said they had seen a picture of someone who had built a banjo out of a plank of wood and a coffee can, and I happened to have one plank of wood and a whole bunch of coffee cans. So that was how I started making these, and that's sort of like the idea I'm trying to get out of being creative and problem solving and just sort of coming up with ways of figuring things out. So I made my first banjo over 20 years ago now, and have we got banjo in the... So anyway, I thought maybe we'd open up with a little banjo song, and this one is an old familiar song that you'll recognize, and it came from a homestead in Kansas. A fellow named Brewster Higley the sixth arrived at his homestead claim in 1888 and wrote this poem, and his friend Dan Kelly put it to music, and now it's the state song of Kansas, and just sort of an anthem, I think, for the western states and also for the homestead for sure. So we're going to open up with that one, and I certainly would love it if you sang with me. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Where the air is so pure and the zephyrs so free, the breeze is so balmy and light, I would not exchange my home on the range for all of the city so bright. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. I love the wildflowers in this dear land of ours, the curlew I love to hear scream. I love the white rocks and the antelope flocks that graze on the mountain tops green. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to do something a little bit different here just to get us in the mood of joining in. You guys, I hope that some of you want to play some music today. Do I have some musicians in the crowd? All right, great. And those are the only two admitting to it. How many people aren't admitting? So anyway, but this is a poem, and it is something that requires some participation. But there's something Wyoming, my home state, and your home state of Nebraska have in common, and that's a very ferocious animal that lives out on the prairies. And does anyone have any idea of some of the scary animals that would be both in Wyoming and Nebraska? Coyotes are scary, yep. Anybody else? There aren't a whole, yeah. What is it? A fox, they're sort of scary also, and they're definitely in both places. But this animal that I'm going to talk about is something that not many people have actually seen. And it's an animal that most people wouldn't consider scary at all, but it's actually a very ferocious creature known as the jackalope. Do any of you know what a jackalope is? Have you seen a jackalope? Yes. Can you explain what it is?
It's a very large, like, rabbit type thing, and it's very scary.
It's very scary, and it has horns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a combination of a jackrabbit and an antelope, and that's where they come up with the name jackalope. And most people don't realize how scary the jackalope is, and most, I don't know anybody who's actually seen one in the wild. You usually see them mounted on a wall, rabbit with horns. So anyway, I'm going to give you a little story on the history of the jackalope, but just to remind everyone how dangerous the animal is, I'm going to have you sort of help me create that image. So whenever I talk about the jackalope, I want you to give me your best impression of a jackalope, and I'm going to give you mine, okay? So if I say jackalope, you want to do something like, do you guys think you can do that with me? Okay, so how about this? I was walking through the sagebrush and I came across a jackalope. Okay, I got to have a little more though, this is a scary animal. I rounded the corner and there was a jackalope. Okay, very good. So jackalopes there's only one day that people can come to Wyoming and hunt the jackalope, and that day is June 31st of every year. But hunters are warned that they're supposed to wear stovepipes on their legs to protect themselves from the horns of these jackalopes, because they're known to attack you with their feet and with their horns and their big front teeth. Okay, so just want to let you know, I feel like because there are jackalopes out in the prairies of western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, it's a good thing to be aware of. So hopefully this will help remind everyone to be cautious when you're out traipsing around through the prairie grass. Okay, so let's try it one more time. I was fixing my campfire over here, and all of a sudden I heard this singing, and it was a jackalope. Okay, excellent. All right, here's the legend of the jackalope, and it was so scary it was known by the cowboys who discovered him as the warrior rabbit. So that's what I call this poem. Down through the ages from the west to the east, there traveled a legend of a fearsome beast, and all who had met him had best beware of the giant front teeth of the forked horned hare. Well, dag nabbit jag rabbit, that frisky old hare, he eloped with antelope beneath lightning flare, and the fruits of this marriage soon did evoke the warrior rabbit, the great jackalope.
Good job.
The legends were told, few did believe, that a hare and a goat could really conceive, and never a sighting could they prove him with, so over time the jackalope faded to myth. Till the fall of '29, when the work was all done and the flickering campfire took the place of the sun, the cowboys were gathered beneath the full moon, sharing a song and yarn and some tunes. They were all getting tired and a little bit tight, singing Home on the Range to wrap up the night, when a whisper was heard in the bushes nearby. Joining the song was a tenor voice high. Well, Jim looked at Bob, who looked over at Slim, and each cowboy was studying the man next to him, but none could explain who held this high voice, and the cowboys agreed there was only one choice. To prove once and for all if the legends were true, Jim built a loop into the bushes he threw, and when lit on its prey, he snubbed up that rope and pulled from the brush an irate jackalope. Well, though shy and sedate this hare longs to be, when backed in a corner, a fighter is he. He kicks with his teeth, he gores with his horns and kicks with his feet. He snarls and he gnarls as he bars his great teeth. Well, each cowboy in turn got a taste of his wrath. Still snubbed to that post, he cleared a wide path, till at last Slim threw down a flask from his hip, and the warrior rabbit then stopped for a nip. Well, soon half a dram had the jackalope sampled and settled right back on his haunches so ample. Now quite sedate, he purred and he hummed, so Curly picked up his guitar and he strummed. And to home on the range the cowboy then slept, while into the brush the jackalope crept. And when the wee morning hours, when poor Jack awoke, dazed and confused, he got freed from that rope. He lit off at a run, and so fast was he that a tall trail of dust was all the cowboys could see. Well, they rode into town and told all who they knew the legends once doubted were actually true. The warrior rabbit is more than a joke. Wyoming is home to at least one jackalope. Okay. Just beware when you go into the brush. But without further ado, we're going to get you guys up here. I just want to ask if anyone knows what this is. Any takers? Well, it could be a drum, absolutely. Do you know what the old-time use of this was? How about you? Well, it does look a lot like a butter churn. Absolutely, I never even thought of that. This one here was a little bigger, I think, than some of the traditional butter churns. Do I have any other guesses out there? Yeah. You guys have so many. You would be great homesteaders. You've got all sorts of good ideas. Absolutely. The use I'm looking for, this might give somebody a tip. There you go. This was, although all of your ideas were actually correct and great thoughts, this specific size was used for washing clothes. And so the combination of a scrub board and a wash tub would be used for washing your socks and every once in a while your overalls. And, you know, when I lived on that old homestead ranch, we'd do laundry about once a week and heat up water in a big old kettle with a wood fire underneath it. And you'd wash your whites first. And, you know, you get really sick of doing laundry like this. But you start realizing this makes a pretty cool little instrument too, right? And so one day when you get a washing machine and you no longer do your washing with a scrub board and a wash tub, you realize that your wash tub has a hole in it. So it's not holding water anymore. But then you remember this story that you heard once about a tribe in Africa back in the 1600s. And this tribe used to dig a hole out of the ground. And they would stretch a big hide over this hole, and they would make a piece of rope out of some fibers, out of grasses, and make a rope. And then they would take a young tree and bend this tree over, and they'd tie the rope onto one end of the tree, and the other end they would tie into that hide that they had stretched over that hole. And when the sapling pulled the rope tight, then they realized they could make music with that. And so years later, when you discover that your wash tub is no longer holding water, or maybe you've bought a washing machine and you don't want to wash your clothes with a scrub board anymore, you can make a pretty cool sounding wash tub bass. So I'm wondering if I might get a volunteer who would want to play the wash tub bass. You want to give it a try? All right, come on up here. And this is a good time for everyone to come on up here if you want. And we got a whole bunch of instruments. We'll get you started on this.
We got lots of instruments, so whoever wants to play,
Okay,
come
so
on up.
the main idea, see this notch on the bottom here? That's going to go on the lip of the wash tub. And you want to stand right behind it. And then put your foot up here. There you go. And now pull it tight. Awesome. And when you pull this string tighter, you can actually change the note. So try pulling it towards you. Yeah, see, and you got it. That's why you got to. Now have they made it higher, right? Okay, great. All right, anybody and everybody who wants to join in, yes, all ages, adults are welcome. We've got a variety. We've got cowbells. We've got spoons. I got a little. This is a handy thing when you lose or wear out one of your mittens or your gloves. You can always take all your extra buttons and, you know, make a nice little instrument like that. I could see where I should have made it right-handed.
We have our YCC.
All right. Woo-hoo.
You're welcome on stage as well.
That's great. I got another bass drum here for you guys if you're interested. It's sort of a good taller person instrument. I don't know if you're inclined, but this that little notch goes on there like this. And you just sort of hold it. Okay, thanks you guys. So most everything is self-explanatory. The scrub board is also a good instrument, as we've seen. If anyone's inclined, you guys want to try that? And we're going to do a bunch of songs, so you don't have to, you can try one instrument and then try another one. This is also sort of a fun one. And you can actually get a little rhythm going with that. So lots of options, lots of opportunities. And as I said, we're going to do several songs here, so you guys will have a chance to do all sorts of different songs.
And definitely make use of this stage and try to stay 6 feet apart from people who can't come here with them.
Hey, Amber, would somebody be able to get me a water? That would be great. Okay. All right. How are we doing on sound out there? What's that? So far, so good. Thank you. Thank you to Jessica for running the sound today. Woo-hoo! Yay! The most underappreciated person at a concert. So thank you, Jessica. You saved the day. Okay. So, how's everybody? How's the band? All right, great. Okay, well, we're going to start out here with the song. This is, oh, thank you, darling. Thank you. This song is the first song I ever learned from my dad. He came into my first grade class and would play this for us kids. It's an old Hank Williams tune. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with homesteading, but it's a really fun song, and it's always good luck for me to start off with this one. So we're just going to keep in mind rhythm, and just like you would clap your hands or tap your toes, you just go ahead and feel the beat and join in as soon as you hear the music. Goodbye, Joe, me gotta go, me oh my oh. Me gotta go for the pirogue down the bayou. My Yvonne, the sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. A jambalaya and a crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Oh, tonight I'm gonna see my Michelle Romeo. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. People to the fountain, know the place is buzzing. Kinfolk come to see Yvonne by the dozen. They dress in style and they go hog wild, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. A jambalaya and a crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Oh, tonight I'm gonna see my Michelle Romeo. A big guitar, a filled fruit jar, and be gay, oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Settle down far from town, buy me a pirogue. Gonna catch me all the fish in the bayou. I'll swap my mom to buy Yvonne what you need, oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. A jambalaya and a crawfish pie, filet gumbo. Oh, tonight I'm gonna see my Michelle Romeo. A big guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Hey, son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Woohoo! Let's hear it for the band. Great, great job. Come on, you guys. The whole world is watching. Does that make you feel better or worse? You're doing great. You're doing just great. Okay, so I'm just going to keep the song sort of rolling along. If you want to try a different instrument, you're welcome to do so. If you want to stick with the one you have, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm going to give us just a little bit more up here. Bring it down, up. Yeah. Is that better? Is the voice adequate out there? Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? What, did we lose the bass player? Were you on the bass? Yeah. Oh, okay. So we did lose it. Yeah, we got another bass up here. These wash tub bases you can make out of any size of bucket. Even I've made them out of little coffee cans and little sticks. This one here is made with a weed whacker cord. There's all sorts of opportunities. Again, like I said, I think that homesteader mindset is all about being sort of creative, inventive, problem solving, just sort of coming up with unique ideas of how to entertain yourself and problem solve. So, okay, well let's do an old cowboy tune here. We did this one this morning, but I think we got a new crowd here today. So, all right, everybody ready? How's that bass working for you? Yeah, it seems like you're just built for it. An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and stormy day. On a ridge he rested as he went along his way. All at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, come crashing through the cloudy sky and up the ragged draw. Yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Ghost riders in the sky. Their eyes are blurred, their faces gaunt, their shirts all soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to catch that herd, but they ain't caught 'em yet. They'll have to ride forever on that range up in the sky, on horses made of fire. You could hear their mournful cry. Oh, yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Ghost riders in the sky. Their brands are still on fire and their hooves are made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny, and their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the sky, for they saw the riders coming hard, and he heard their mournful cry. Oh, yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Ghost riders in the sky. And as the riders walked on by him, he heard one call his name. If you want to save your soul, riding on our range, cowboy, change your ways today, or with us you will ride, trying to catch the devil's herd across the endless sky. Oh, yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Ghost riders in the sky. Ghost riders in the sky. Wow! Woo-hoo! I don't know what it was, but I almost felt the herd of cattle on the stage. Did anybody else feel like a vibration going? I think everybody tapping their feet together. That was great. Great job. Well, I'm going to change instruments. If anybody else wants to do the same, this is a good time. I loved your hoofbeats with the spoons on that. That was really great. Great touch. We got a lonely cowbell sitting down there on the poor little cowbell. Hey, great. Great taker. So this one is a Homestead song, and like I said, my experience there on that old ranch in Wyoming, I learned a lot of things, but there was one thing that I learned that was my favorite skill of all, and that was learning how to put up hay the old-fashioned way with teams of horses. And you know, I've played gigs all over the western United States, and there's no venue that is more suited to what I'm interested in, I think, than this place. And just looking at all the old equipment back there, the number 9 horse mower I used for a lot of years, putting up a lot of hay. So this is a song about that. And it was written by my friend Todd Stearns. It was my only neighbor. He lived about 17 miles away, and he'd come over and help us put up hay in the summer. So how's the band doing? You guys got some new instruments? And all right. Just a little bit more so we can hear ourselves. The band is waiting on the band leader here. So we were talking this morning, we needed a name for the band. So if anybody has any ideas, keep that in mind. Well, before the end of the set here, we got to come up with a name for our band. Okay. You do? The Homesteaders. All right. You know, I think that sounds like a perfect name. So the Homesteaders band on putting up the hay the old-fashioned way. Good job. Well, we went down to the machine shed, we was gonna mow some hay. We got us a team and we got hooked up and the mower it did say, roll, come around boys. Then we mowed along down the old back swath, swung the team around, drove around the other way and the grass came falling down. Gonna mow, gonna mow. Gonna mow that hay all day. Gonna mow, gonna mow, gonna mow us a stack of hay. Well, we went back up and we got unhooked and we let the green grass dry. The sun shone hot for a day or two and a breeze came blowing by. Then we went back down, hooked up to a rake in we did go. 100 teeth, they scratched the ground and they made a big windrow. Then we drove along down the old windrow, raked it in a bunch. The horses love that little job, 'cause that's when they got lunch. Gonna rake, gonna windrow up that hay. We'll rake it long and rake it tall, then we'll punch it the other way. Well, we went back down to the machine shed, to the buck rake we did hook. The horses pushed the sweep around until the stacker bunches took. Then the stacker horse, she hit the tug, up the stacker pulled. The hay flew down into the crib and the pitchforks they rolled. Gonna stack, gonna stack, gonna stack it tall and high. We'll round it out and top it off till it almost hits the sky. Well, we went back down to the machine shed, we was gonna mow some hay. But it rained all night and it rained all day, so we didn't work that day. Putting up the hay the old-fashioned way. Thank you. Let's hear it for the band, the Homesteaders. Woo-hoo! All right, I want to know, I love having you on the bass, but if there's someone else who, does anybody else want to try the bass, or if there's someone littler you can help, but if not, we love having you on there, so we'll just keep you going if that's, just want to make sure that we don't have anybody waiting in the wings. All right, let's see what we're going to do here. You know what, I'm going to do an old, a classic song that maybe some of you can sing along with. Always like to have some other vocalists in the band, and this is an old classic song that was written as part of the gubernatorial candidacy in Alabama, and I wish I could give you a year or a name for this. I should have both, but anyway, I'm sure you'll recognize the song, and hopefully help me out with this. I believe they refer to this kind of atmosphere as close in England. Is that true? When it's really muggy like this, I think it's called close. And that's the only way I can think to describe it, other than muggy. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You told me once, dear, you'd always love me, and no one else would come between. Now you've left me to love another. You have shattered all of my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and keep you happy if you will only stay the same. If you leave me to love another, you'll regret it all someday. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Oh, please don't take my sunshine away. Very nice. Woohoo! Great job. All right, how are you guys doing? There's a lot of instruments up here that would be nice to have them get played a little bit. Does anybody else? We got some chimes here. We've got this is a really fun one. It sort of works like a slinky, and you can actually get like a really nice rhythm going with it. It's just made with a. I think I had like one of these. I don't even know what you call it. It was like a board. And I cut it into even pieces and just strung a rope through it and made sort of a fun little flapper guy. This is an old Jello mold. Uh-oh, are you guys escaping? You're taking advantage of the opportunity to get off the stage, right? Anyway, okay, well, you know what's up here. But feel free to try out some new instruments that you haven't yet. You are a great addition to the band. You're into everything. All right. Well, I'm going to do an original song here. It's sort of a dark song, but it's good for the band setting, and it ties in a lot with what Amber was talking about. This is a Homestead song from the state of Oklahoma, and there was a lot of misconceptions back when they were trying to get people to populate Oklahoma, and what happened was the railroad people owned a lot of. I guess it was a little bit after the land run, but there was a lot of land on the side of the railroads that they were trying to get sold off. And they promoted people moving out to Oklahoma. They said it was a dry state, but if people farmed it, then rain would actually, their term was rain would follow the plow. And that if the farmers tilled everything up, they would actually increase the chances of rain. But that didn't happen, and what we ended up was with the great Dust Bowl disaster of the 1930s. So anyway, like I said, it's a little bit of a dark song, but I like the beat, and I had the great opportunity to write this song for the Dust Bowl Museum down in Boise City, Oklahoma. And anyway, so you guys, you ready? Oh, the century was young, the Wild West had been won, when the last frontier was settled with the firing of a gun. It's Uncle Sam's vow, rain follows the plow, so stake your claim and cultivate now. The homesteads are cheap, there's riches in wheat, in no man's land, there's gold in the streets. For a time things were good, the rain fell when it should, and the Sooners laid a plow to every acre that they could. But their debts were standing tall when Black Tuesday came to call. They doubled up production as they watched the prices fall. All those farmers remained loyal to their gambles on the soil, but there simply was no market for their never-ending toil. Soon rotting stacks of wheat were piled up in the street, while a nation in despair could not afford to eat. Then the wind began a-blowing and the water quit a-flowing. The plainsmen were still lowing, but the wheat it was not growing. And the next year was the same, not a single drop of rain. And those rotten stacks of wheat were the only yield they claimed. Black clouds filled the sky, the cattle all died. The children all cried with dust in their eyes. Starvation and despair, they all got their share, while the soup line from the city had made its way out there. Foreclosure looming near, they all lived in fear as they tried to hold their ground for just another year. And those who left their claim found another life of shame in the Garden of Eden with a number for a name. Black clouds filled the sky, the cattle all died. The children all cried with dust in their eyes. They're praying for rain, starving for grain, but tumbleweeds and rabbits are all that's left to blame. The dusters and the heat destroyed all the wheat, and all their dreams had vanished like the gold in the street. Oh, the devil laid his hand on that God-forsaken land, where the fences and the tombstones lay buried in the sand. And I threw a wild card on you. You guys did a great job with that. Oh, the misery and fear of those 30 years left its mark upon their faces with the mud from dust and tears. Black clouds filled the sky, the cattle all died, the children all cried with dust in their eyes, with dust in their eyes, dust in their eyes. Wow, thank you, band. You guys were great. That was a lot. There's some things to follow along in there, and you stuck with me. Thank you. Great job. All right. What are we going to do next here? 3 more songs? Okay. All right, so I got word we're doing 3 more songs, and I think we're going to do like a fun old country song maybe. Okay. This one here was written by June Carter Cash. Johnny Cash sort of made it famous, but his wife wrote it, and we like to always give credit to the songwriters. Love was a burning thing, and it made a fiery ring, bound by wild desires. I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 but the flames went higher, and it burned, burned, burned. A ring of fire, a ring of fire, a ring of fire, a ring of fire. 'cause love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 but the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. A ring of fire, a ring of fire. A ring of fire, a ring of fire. Oh, the taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 but the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. A ring of fire, a ring of fire, a ring of fire, a ring of fire. Wait, only June Carter Cash! Woohoo! All right, so we got 2 songs left, and I'm going to do this one here is one of my favorite Homestead songs. And if you want to get in on the band, like I said, we got 2 more, so now is the time. The more the merrier. And I want to thank you all for participating. You guys have been a wonderful band. It's great to sort of be out in the swing of things. I've haven't done a program like this for about 1.5 years, so it's just nice to be out and see people out and see people joining in and playing music together. So let's hear it for the Homestead Band. Woo-hoo! Yeah. All right, this one here, just like the song I started with, Home on the Range, was also originated as a poem inspired by a homesteader named O.E. Miller. And this was a fellow who homesteaded in the central region of South Dakota, what's now the Lower Brule Indian Reservation. And he came out to his homestead in 1880 and wrote this song, and just like Home on the Range, it was originally a poem, and it was shortly thereafter put to music. So it is, I think it really paints a very accurate and lively picture of life out on the prairies and in the conditions of some of those old shacks the homesteaders lived in. I'm looking rather seedy now while holding down my claim, though my victuals are not always served the best. And the mice play shoddy around me as I nestle down to sleep in that little old sod shanty in the west. Oh, the hinges are of leather and the windows have no glass. The board roof lets the howling blizzards in. And the mice play shoddy around me as I nestle down to sleep in that little old sod shanty on my claim. Adios-lo-di-o-di-o-lo-di-o-lo-di-ay, adios-lo-di-o-di-o-lo-di-ay, adios-lo-di-o-di-o-di-o-lo-di-o, adios-lo-di-o-di-o. I'd rather like the novelty of living in this way, though my bill of fare is always rather tame. I'm a happy as a clam on this land of Uncle Sam, in that little old sod shanty on my claim. Oh, when I left my eastern home, a bachelorette so gay, try to win my way to wealth and fame. I little thought that I'd come down to burning twisted hay in that little old sod shanty on my claim. Adios-lo-di-o-di-o-lo-di-ay, 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 adios-lo-di-o-di-o. Well, my face is plastered o'er with dough, I'm looking like a fright. Everything is scattered round the room. But I wouldn't trade the freedom that I have out in the West for the table of an Eastern mansion home. Oh, the hinges are of leather and the windows have no glass. The board roof lets the howling blizzards in. But that hungry old coyote in me will stay through thick and thin round that little old side shanty on my claim. Howdy-o-lo, dee-o-dee-o-lo, ooh-dee-ay, howdy-o-lo, ooh-dee-o-lo-lo-lay. Howdy-o-lo, dee-o-dee-o-lo, ooh-dee-ay, howdy-o-lo, Owie Miller, thank you. Let's hear it for Carla doing the sign interpretation down here. Woohoo! I was very interested to see the signing for the yodel. Can I see that one more time? Did you make it up? Oh, I have to yodel to see the oh, okay. I can't. Never mind. That was a first for me, but I can't yodel without an instrument. I won't put you guys through that. All right. Well, you guys, thanks again for joining in. It certainly makes it more fun and a lot more interesting for me than just standing up here boring myself on stage. We're going to close it up here with another song that sort of stems out of Oklahoma, an Oklahoma songster from the 1930s and 40s by the name of Woody Guthrie. And this is an American classic, so hopefully you'll recognize the song and join me on the chorus or throughout the whole song if you know the words. I did it this morning and found out that I myself don't know the words, so maybe I'll be following you. Anyway, all right, here we go. You guys ready for one last tune? This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that ribbon of valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond desert. All around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. One last chorus and let's sing it for the whole world. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Oh, this land was made for you and me. What do you got, 3? And the Homestead Band. Band, why don't you step on forward and give a bow for the audience here. Let's hear it for the band. Wow, wonderful. Thank you guys for joining in. That was great. I am Miss V from the Metropolis of Thermopolis, and thank you so much for coming out today. It was a real pleasure and a great way to start back into the swing of things here. Thank you.
So another round of applause for Miss V and the Homesteader Band. And thank you to Carla for sign language, Jessica and Jonathan for their help on the virtual digital side, and everyone here at Homestead. And thank you to the Hevlon Foundation and the Friends of Homestead for making this possible. We hope to see you again. Our festivities start tomorrow with Irish dancers from Kansas City at noon. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.